Write a Book in 2 Weeks or Less by Lisa Newsom. So this is just a very short introduction to what this book is all about. So first of all, you need to be thinking about what is your idea. You need to be very clear on what your idea is going to be, what your book is going to be about if you want to successfully achieve the task of writing a book in 2 weeks. Think about what you will call it. Think about how many pages you want the book to have, the size of the book, whether it's going to be a little pocket size one or an A4 size one. And it's important to visualize the front cover, what you want the final product to look like. And then you need to start planning. Plan the outline, the actual skeleton of the book, what you're going to put into each chapter. And it's almost like if you think of, creating a building, it's laying the foundation for the actual book. Think of the synopsis, if it's a fiction book, what the book is going to be about, and what will go into each of the chapters and the title of those chapters. So once you've done that, the next thing is then to think, okay, so if it's 20 chapters, I'm going to write 10 chapters a day, or rather 2 chapters a day over 10 days. It's more like it, isn't it? And then you have a date, therefore, of when to complete the first draft. So it's really then important to set a time aside, because if you are going to write 2 chapters a day for the next 10 days, you need to make sure that you've built the time into your timetable in order to make sure that that happens. And the best way in order to do this is to block out chunks of time. So it's really, really, really important, if you're going to achieve this mission of writing a book in 2 weeks, to find the time to write. Block out chunks of time, find a place to sit where you will not be disturbed, and just write right away. Sometimes people find it difficult to get into the mood, but this is why it's handy if you have a specific place where you like to sit and where you won't be disturbed. Switch off the phone, turn off all your Facebooks and your applications in the background, and just focus on the task in hand. You might find it helpful to have a writing buddy. That might be someone who's also put themselves up for the challenge of writing a book in 2 weeks, and you can encourage each other on. Or the writing buddy might be someone who has agreed to proofread your work and will give you honest feedback when it's done after each chapter. Can someone proofread your work for you? If you get somebody, or maybe a few people lined up, and say to them, on this date, in 10 days time, I'll have draft 1 for you, that can also help you to just stay on track, because there'll be people waiting to read your work. Some very common problems in failing in the mission to write a book in 2 weeks is not finding the time to write. Having a thing called writer's block, that's just where your mind goes blank and you just can't seem to get it together. And other problems, some people actually start their book but then they just can't seem to be able to finish it. Therefore, it's just very important, once more, to reiterate, to make the time. So it's all very well saying, yes, I want to write a book in 2 weeks, but you need to find the time. The book will not write itself, so you have to make the time. And if it's a matter of planning more, then make sure you do that, because if you have got a thing called writer's block, it's because you don't know what to write about. Therefore, you need to plan it out a little bit better. And then just set yourself deadlines, just like an essay, and say, okay, perhaps getting 2 chapters a day is a little bit too ambitious. I'm just going to aim for just getting 1 chapter a day done, and just work through it like that. But as long as you know what you're supposed to be writing about, then writing about it is what should flow on the page. As soon as you've completed draft 1, you can always approve upon the book. So don't aim for perfection in draft 1, just aim to get it done, aim to get it completed. I think there's nothing worse than having a half-finished manuscript. Get it finished, and then you can always improve upon that to achieve perfection if that's the kind of person you are. It's really important to get feedback, someone to spell check it, and just to see if it's reading well, because sometimes you have an idea in your mind, but whether that comes out on paper and is interpreted by a separate individual in the way that you wanted it to be written or interpreted is something else. So getting feedback's important, and then you can just edit it. Don't start and stop and start and stop. The best way is to, once you've started, you set your time aside, you keep going until it's finished. Otherwise, it can be very difficult to get back into something that you've stopped writing. So you don't want it to drag on for the rest of your life. You can start, set time aside, regularly work on it until it's finished, then you will feel a lot better for that. You can keep in touch with us on Facebook, facebook.com/how to write a book in 2 weeks. Join us on Facebook's discussions and things going on there. And you can also get hold of a copy of the book. It's by Lisa Newton. It's available on Amazon. How to Write a Book in 2 Weeks.